Hi, my name is Fee Peel, and this is an open letter to Prime Minister Scott Morrison and the Honourable Stuart, Minister for the NDIS. I'm a mental health practitioner, advocate, and additionally have lived with a 3-monthly 14-year suicidal cycle arising in 2006. In 2019, the NDIS determined that after more than 30 suicide attempts, to grant me a support package. The fact that I am still here is quite remarkable. In July of 2020, at a review after having had that funding for 12 months, the planner determined that they would double my funding. That funding was supposed to be used to do a behavioural assessment with an occupational therapist, which was done, and then to target trained staff to provide 24/7 on-call support when my suicidal risk escalated. I was very fortunate and managed to miss the cycle in September-October of 2020, but then Christmas was upon me, which had always been the time of highest risk for suicidal thoughts arising due to trauma sustained around this time of year. Once more, I was suicidal and I had no support. Over the years of this hellish journey, I have engaged in much personal therapy. I've also trained in non-clinical and clinical strategies to support others who know similar personal torments. I know that the only thing I can do each time this happens is to ride the waves of intensity until they abate and the suicidal risk levels subside. I have to make sure that I do not have access to any means with which I could harm myself. The divide between the funding that was made available and the promise it carried with it of support, and the reality of the thin market of staffing and resources to provide this kind of 24/7 care in the Blue Mountains area in which I live, meant that once again, when I most needed support, I was left to flounder on my own. I found myself once more suicidal. My risk level had escalated, and I had no one. My only option was to go to hospital 5 days before Christmas. I was very lucky to have had some wonderful friends who were able to provide me with on-call phone support, but I didn't have anyone with me. I had chosen to leave my home and go to a motel to try and right myself off the back of my own limited disability support pension. This is not okay. I am calling for reviews into NDIS processes, along with many others in mental health advocacy circles. The mental health system was an add-on at best, and at the moment as it stands, disability support services are not accessible in regional areas from the Blue Mountains West. When NDIS services are accessible, there are no regulations around the level of training required for staff to provide specialist mental health support. With over 2 million Australians with known mental health challenges and only 400,000 NDIS participants, those who are successful in jumping through the well-documented rigorous hoops of NDIS assessment are only those who live with complex mental health profiles. That our own individual funding allocations are then required to target trained staff with little more than a Certificate 4 in mental health to provide specialist crisis intervention speaks to one of the massive failures of this system. The NDIS is not working as it should. New South Wales is currently calling for a Royal Commission into mental health. The failure of our state and federal government to provide transparency around the reasons for the lack of mental health resources and access to timely intervention has been an ongoing conversation since the time of the Richmond Report in 1983. Since that time, mental health and suicide statistics have skyrocketed, and it is time that we really look at this. I know far too many people who have known the rock bottom of falling through the gaps. Even with the promise of being caught in the net, I myself continue to fall. COVID has taught us that suicide numbers are only going to continue to escalate. It is time to hold these failures to account. Please do something. Because while I have the strength to ride this out and will continue to do so to the best of my ability, it is not fair that you expect me to do it alone.